All right, this is Roger Martin again from Billings, Montana. I'm going to do a little bit of narration off of Journey of Faith, Book of Mormon documentary. It lasts about an hour and a half, but I'm not going to do the full thing. You don't have time for it, and I don't either. But you should look at it and look at it seriously. I'm going to give you an introduction here with a little comment. Faith is a principle of action and of belief. We're going to look at that a little more, but I'm going to give you an example of why the Book of Mormon is so important, because it mirrors the things happening in Jerusalem at this time of Lehi's time, and that is happening currently in our time. They're parallels. They're the same thing in so many ways. Let me show you.
The prophet Joseph Smith once said to his colleague, "If you live into the next century, you will see evidence for the Book of Mormon come forth in droves."
That may be true, it may not be true. More and more evidence is coming out. I think more evidence will come out. But the Book of Mormon itself has an incredible spiritual message for our time. We need faith in this day and age. The Book of Mormon was actually written for our time. And it becomes more and more evident the longer I study it that it actually was preserved for our time. Because Christianity as we currently know it is in a stage of apostasy. Still, today. And only the true faith of Jesus Christ and true prophets and true obedience to those prophets are paramount. And therefore the Book of Mormon is so obvious to me that that's what it's all about. Are we going to be obedient to the restored message and the restored prophets that currently exist, or are we going to turn away from them as the majority of the Christian world does and the majority of the people in the world now are, and go on our merry way to our own self-destruction? It appears the latter is the case today and will continue to be. But for the minority that look at this book and look at this faith, there is salvation, real physical and spiritual salvation.
The story of the epic journey of Lehi and Sariah begins in this place in Jerusalem.
The time of Lehi, the original city of Jerusalem, which was just one hill surrounded by a wall that David and Solomon built. It's a city Lehi could have walked the streets and seen lots of people that he knew every day. They had the temple as the focal point where they could go and offer sacrifices and join in prayers.
This pool was here in the days of Lehi and Sariah. It was an essential source of water into the city.
One of Sariah's tasks would have been to draw the water every day to bring to the family. And there's one spring in Jerusalem, the Gihon Spring, and the water's tunneled from the Gihon Spring to the Pool of Siloam.
He and Sariah.
Now this is interesting. Water, without it, you're in serious trouble. And this is one reason Jerusalem has withstood so many battles. The enemies know that if you can have water, you can live for a long time, but take that water away and you're in serious trouble. That is reminiscent of the true faith of Jesus Christ. If you're really doing the ordinances and covenants of the temple and of from baptism on up to the temple, you can have real living water and real a life in covenant relationship with Jesus Christ. But without it, you're doing a mock religion and a mock faith, and it is foam on the water. It is just not solid for many reasons.
Would have known this place, they'd have visited it.
It might have also been a place where she would have encountered people talking about the things her husband was doing and saying,
Lehi's family was a prosperous family in several ways. They had flocks and herds. They had a home in Jerusalem. They had what they call the land of their inheritance, designated land that was theirs. And they had wealth, including silver and gold and precious things.
Lehi.
Now that's an interesting statement from that previous man. Prosperous, not in only gold and silver. He must have been an upper class individual, but he also had flocks and herds and animals. He had camels. So Lehi was a very industrious individual and a very prosperous individual as well.
Found out not long after the Book of Mormon opens that he was of the tribe of Manasseh. Now Manasseh was a tribe that belonged originally to the northern kingdom, which of course had been carried off a century or so before the opening of the Book of Mormon. So it seems that Lehi and his family are to a certain extent outsiders, and that Laban was probably a kinsman of Lehi. That's why he had the records, specifically the records of Joseph.
They were
a kinsman, this Laban, and he was a military individual. He had 50 soldiers or better, and obviously a powerful and rich individual, a military leader, maybe even a political leader.
Children of Joseph, and the Josephite record that was being kept on the brass plates was in the possession of Laban.
Having them would of course be a great status symbol as the leader of the clan or something like that.
He is able to command 50 soldiers within the walls of the city of Jerusalem, which means that he is a military officer and a very high-ranking official.
So he's going against a high-ranking official. Could have easily been killed with those 50 soldiers, his family. And they tried to kill Lehi, and they tried to kill Nephi. His brothers had tried to kill Nephi, and even tried to kill their father. So this opposition, good versus evil in the opposition, the military physical opposition, spiritual opposition, is constantly shown through the Book of Mormon. And it parallels the opposition not only of the church coming forth and being restored and the physical and spiritual opposition to it, but the current opposition which still exists to some extent between the majority of the Christian believers and us. It is somewhat softened, but it still exists, and it's still very real. I'm going to leave this go. This is a great documentary on the journey of faith. If you start looking at it in our time and what is going on, you'll get a great deal of understanding concerning what faith is and why it's so important. I'm going to let it go here, and then we're going to go some more scriptural message on faith. Look at this journey of faith, Book of Mormon documentary. Very interesting.